Hey guys, Anything DN back here with a new deck profile, Worm OTK. This deck was anti-meta at one point, but I would not recommend anybody going to a tournament with this. The only way you're gonna win is to get certain cards in your hand. Like, you gotta have the best hand you can ever have with this deck, which we all know is basically impossible. But I gotten a couple of requests for this deck, so why not just go ahead and do one? So, first up, you got Carderos. Good for getting the worms you need to do an OTK. If you got, let's say, Zex and Yagan in your hand, you'll know why later. It just goes into the XYZing and the OTK for 0 and all of that. Next, you got Hope. This is just basically for draw power, and if you need to, send a certain card to your grave so you can special summon later. Next, you have Zex. Means normal summon, send one reptile worm monster from your deck to the graveyard. This ties in with Yagan, because when he is sent to the graveyard, he is special summon in defense. Face down. And if the only other monster you control is Zex, this is a first turn thing you gotta do, then he's protected. He cannot be destroyed by card effects. So that's pretty awesome. Next, you got this dude, Apocalypse or whatever. I tried to run this deck without him. It did not work. Infinities ate me with their launcher. 6 Sams ate me with their gateway. And I was just, oh man, I hated it. So I ran this and they was saucy. They would attack this card and it would be their own demise. Next, you get into Warlord. 2,350 beater. Negates effects of effect monster destroys. So, and when he destroys a monster, he can attack once again and roll. Once again, this is basically a Kachi, except it's 50 more attack, or 250 more attack. Sorry. Now you got Iroken. This dude is special summons worms like crazy to get into the OTK. Next, you got King. You only have to tribute one worm type. Gets rid of your opponent's cards. Next, you got Queen. Same thing, except you can tribute one worm to special summon her, and normal summon, and then you can tribute a worm to special summon another worm, equal or less than his points. This card is a flip effect. I do not recommend it unless you're facing some god cards or any other cards. It's really good for certain cards that have large attacks. So yeah. Now for the spell cards, you got Worm Call, special summon worm monsters and stuff. Next, you got Future Fusion. I did this once. I put all of my worm monsters in the grave and I special summon Worm 0. And MST'd. That's the only thing I can say. And oh man, I was so stupid. Next, you got 3 Fusion Gate. Sorry for that. There's a door opening like crazy. Next, you got Fusion Gate, self-explanatory. Reborn, Heavy, Mystic, Black Hole. You got Holes, and Forces, and Call Hunted. You got the Solemn. I don't recommend Solemn Warning. And you got Ultimate Offering. It's kind of hard to summon in this deck. And if you got Ultimate Offering, all these cards here, usually one tribute, summon them like crazy. Next, for a side deck, you got Shadow Imprisoning Mirror to take out those dark holes and stuff. Play Spreaders, all those cards that you hate. Ninjas, some Gravekeepers. You don't want to run Light Imprisoning because all your worm monsters are light monsters. Next, you got Royal Prison. This is just good for certain decks, not all of them, especially Insectors. I don't know. I just put this in there because I saw it where I was searching prison. So I just, like I said, throwing it in there. Deprison, self-explanatory. Crow for certain decks. Swiss Scarecrow, most likely. You're just not going to be winning a lot with this deck. It's a good deck. It is a good deck. They had a great idea, but it's just there's two meta decks. Every deck is too meta now. This deck just can't compete with all those decks. Ryo, self-explanatory. Fairy Lily. This is pretty awesome. I love this card. Other than the fact that she's hot, she has a pretty cool effect. And then you got Fairy Hand. Just because I saw this card, I threw it in there. Like extra deck, 3 Worm 0, of course. A pretty cool effect. But he gets destroyed easy. I see that. Roach, Utopia, Black Corn. This is a newer XYZ. He has a pretty good effect. Any card that has 21 attack or less, destroy and inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. Shockmaster, just take out monster effects or traps or spells. 2,600 beater, Kachi, and Zinmane's just to stall out a little bit. So, this is my worm deck. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. I have an executive video, a wind-up video, and my gadget offering video. So, thank you, and goodbye.